Imagine folding open your phone and not seeing that annoying crease line for the first time ever. No dip, no weird reflection, just a perfectly smooth screen that somehow still folds in half. Well, Samsung just made this dream a reality at CES 2026, and it's coming to the Z Fold 8 this July. But here's the crazy part. They're launching 3 brand new devices, and one of them is completely different from anything they've ever made before. Today I'm breaking down everything we know about the S26, Z Fold 8, and Z Flip 8. The pricing news that will make you smile, the launch dates you need to mark on your calendar, and why 2026 might be the year foldable phones finally go mainstream. Let's dive in. So let's start with the pricing news, because this is where Samsung really surprised everyone. A few weeks back, reports were flying around saying Samsung was struggling with S26 pricing. Phone components are getting more expensive, and everyone was expecting Samsung to pass those costs on to customers. Some tipsters even claimed the S26 series would cost more than the S25 lineup. But here's the good news. Ice Universe, one of the most reliable Samsung leakers, just confirmed that Samsung decided to keep S26 prices exactly the same as the S25 series. No price increase at all, and it gets better. The Galaxy Z Fold 8 and Z Flip 8 will also launch at the same prices as their predecessors. So if you were worried about spending more money for Samsung's next flagships, you can breathe easy now. Now let's talk launch dates, because Samsung has some interesting timing planned. The S26 series will officially launch on February 25th, 2026 in San Francisco. These phones will go on sale in early March, which follows Samsung's usual schedule. But here's where things get interesting. All 3 foldable phones will launch together in July 2026. Not staggered launches, not one device now and another later. All 3 at once, which tells us Samsung is planning something big. Speaking of those 3 foldables, let me explain what we're dealing with here. Obviously, we have the Z Fold 8 and Z Flip 8, but that third device is a complete mystery. Carrier listings show 3 separate model numbers for Samsung foldables this year. 2 match the expected fold and flip, but the third one doesn't match anything Samsung has released before. Leaks suggest this mystery device is a wide fold. Still a book-style foldable, but with different proportions. Think shorter and wider, more like a passport than a TV remote. This shape would be much better for multitasking, typing, and watching videos. And if this sounds familiar, it's because Apple's rumored first foldable is expected to use a very similar design. Samsung clearly wants to get there first and set the standard. Now let's talk about that crease breakthrough I mentioned earlier. At CES 2026, Samsung quietly showed 2 phones side by side. One was a regular Z Fold with the usual crease we all know. Next to it was another foldable that looked identical, except the screen was completely smooth. No crease, no line, no hint that it even folded. This wasn't some dummy unit behind glass. It was a working prototype. And according to multiple sources, this exact display technology is headed straight to the Z Fold 8. The screen still bends because physics is physics, but the crease is now so subtle you will probably miss it unless you're actively looking for it. Here's the really interesting part. Samsung is not keeping this technology to themselves. They are reportedly supplying the same folding panel tech to Apple for their first foldable. Different sizes and designs, but the same core breakthrough. This tells us the crease problem that's plagued foldables since day one is finally solved. But Samsung didn't stop at just fixing the crease. The hardware improvements for the Z Fold 8 sound almost too good to be true. This phone is rumored to weigh just 200 grams. Let me put that in perspective. That's barely heavier than a regular flagship phone. The iPhone 17 Pro is expected to weigh around 206 grams. So Samsung is about to sell a foldable with 2 displays, a hinge, and all that extra hardware, and it will weigh less than Apple's regular phone. And somehow they're doing this while increasing the battery from 4,400 mAh to around 5,000. Lighter phone, bigger battery, 2 screens. That's not a small upgrade. That's a massive leap forward. The Z Flip 8 numbers are just as impressive. Latest reports suggest it could weigh just 150 grams. That's nearly 40 grams lighter than the current Flip. If that number holds true, this could be one of the lightest foldables ever made. The big question is battery life. We don't know yet how much capacity Samsung had to sacrifice to hit that weight. But the fact that all three devices have already appeared in US carrier databases is a good sign. This usually means internal testing is complete, and the phones are being prepared for real-world networks. Historically, this puts devices about 6 to 9 months away from launch, which perfectly lines up with that July timeframe. Let's talk about software for a minute because Samsung is already working on One UI 9 for these foldables. Tipster Taran Vats spotted One UI 9 test builds for the Z Fold 8. The firmware version is reportedly F9-76USQU0AZB1, which means Samsung is deep into development. The S26 series will launch with One UI 8.5, but the foldables launching later will get the newer One UI 9. This suggests Samsung is planning some significant software improvements specifically for foldable devices. Now let's talk about camera upgrades because the Z Fold 8 is getting some serious photography hardware. Early leaks suggest a 200 megapixel main camera, a 50 megapixels ultra-wide, and a 12 megapixels telephoto with 3x zoom. That's flagship-level camera performance in a foldable form factor. Samsung clearly wants to eliminate the compromise between foldable design and camera quality. Here is why all of this matters more than just specs and features. Samsung is clearly preparing for Apple's entry into the foldable market. By launching 3 different foldables in 1 year, they are trying to define the entire category before Apple even shows up. The timing isn't accidental. Launching in July gives Samsung months to establish market presence before Apple's expected foldable debut. And that mystery wide-fold device could be Samsung's direct answer to Apple's rumored design. This doesn't feel like Samsung experimenting anymore. This feels like Samsung going all in on foldables becoming mainstream. The crease problem is solved, the weight issues are handled, and the pricing remains competitive. All the major barriers that kept people away from foldables are being addressed at once. If Samsung actually pulls this off, 2026 might be the year foldables stop feeling like expensive toys and start feeling like the future of smartphones. So there you have it, Samsung's massive 2026 foldable strategy. 3 new foldables in July, including a mystery wide-fold design. The Z Fold 8 has a nearly invisible crease, a 200-gram weight, and a 5000 mAh battery. The Z Flip 8 potentially weighs just 150 grams. And best of all, no price increases across the entire lineup. The S26 series launches February 25th at the same prices as the S25, and the foldables follow in July. Now I want to know what you think. Is that crease-free Z Fold 8 finally enough to convince you to switch to a foldable? Or are you more interested in that mysterious wide-fold device? Let me know in the comments below. If this video helped you stay up to date with Samsung's plans, hit that like button and subscribe for more tech news. I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.